So how does a brand new king, surrounded by enemies, actually secure his kingdom? Today we're jumping into the source material to look at King David's playbook for solidifying power. It's a fascinating strategy that mixes shrewd politics, deep faith, and one very strange military command. You know, when you boil it all down, the story of how David locked down his throne really hinges on three pretty wild things: a palace that was built to send a message, a prayer that completely changed his strategy, and this bizarre, almost unbelievable signal, the sound of marching in the treetops. Let's see how all these pieces fit together.
Okay, first things first. Before a king can even think about facing enemies abroad, he has to secure his power at home, right? So this first part is all about David's brilliant opening moves to establish his legitimacy, create a powerful symbol of his authority, and start building a dynasty that would last.
Now, David's first big move as king, you'd think it would be to build an army, wouldn't you? Nope, he builds a palace. He reaches out and makes this powerful alliance with Hiram, the king of Tyre. And Hiram doesn't just send a congratulations card, he sends the good stuff, precious cedar logs, and the expert stonemasons and carpenters to build the whole thing. This wasn't just a construction project, this was a massive political statement to the entire world. And you have to understand, that palace had this incredible psychological effect, especially on David himself. Seeing it go up, built with resources from a powerful foreign ally, it cemented his own belief in his right to rule. The source tells us this is the moment he knew his authority was the real deal, backed by God. It's like the external symbol finally confirmed his internal conviction.
So with his present reign symbolized by this brand new palace, David also starts playing the long game to secure the future. The birth of 13 kids in his new capital, that wasn't just a family affair. See, in the ancient world, having a huge family was the ultimate sign of divine blessing, and it was the bedrock for building a dynasty that could rule for generations to come.
So, David's got his power base growing, things are looking good at home, but you know that's not going to last, right? It was only a matter of time before an external challenger showed up. A new king's reign always gets tested, and David's first major test was rolling in full force.
And here's the ironic part. It was David's very success that put a target on his back. The moment the Philistines heard he'd been anointed king over a united Israel, they saw him as a major threat. A strong, unified kingdom on their border was a danger, and they decided to move in and crush it before it got any stronger.
So, faced with this massive threat, David doesn't panic. He actually has this clear four-step formula. He sees the threat, he assesses it, but then, notice step 2. This is the key. His first instinct isn't to draw up a battle plan or rally the troops. It's to stop and to ask for guidance. Should I even go? It's only after he gets a clear yes that he moves on to step 4 and executes the plan. This becomes a real pattern for him.
And the attack? It's a huge success, a decisive victory. And David's reaction is just so powerful. He uses this incredible image of a flash flood, this sudden, unstoppable force of nature, to describe how the battle felt. He sees his army as the instrument through which this divine power just burst through the enemy's defenses.
And to make sure nobody ever forgets it, he literally renames the battlefield. He calls it Baal Perazim, which means the Lord who breaks out. By doing this, he creates a permanent landmark, a reminder to everyone, his own people and his enemies, of where that victory really came from. It's a pretty brilliant piece of branding for his new kingdom, if you think about it.
So, awesome victory, right? Reputation secured. But what happens when the enemy doesn't give up? When they just regroup, maybe learn from their mistakes, and come right back at you a second time? Does the same old formula work twice?
And that brings us to the second showdown, and this is where the story gets really interesting. This time, the challenge is totally different. It's not just another test of David's military might. It's a profound test of his trust and his willingness to follow a truly bizarre and unconventional strategy. Just look at the difference between the two battle plans. The first time, the command was simple, direct, just go, a full-on frontal assault. But the second time, the instruction is the complete opposite. Do not go directly at them. Instead, he's told to do this whole flanking maneuver and wait at a very specific spot, in front of a grove of poplar trees. And if you thought that was strange, get ready for this. The signal to attack isn't a trumpet, it's not a shout from a commander, it's the sound of marching in the tops of the trees. Can you just imagine being a soldier, hiding, waiting to hear that? It's a command that makes zero logical sense. It requires absolute, blind trust.
But this is what sets David apart.
he does it. The source just says it plainly. So David did as God commanded him. And the result? It was an even bigger victory than the first one. They didn't just win, they completely routed the Philistine army across a massive stretch of land, all the way from Gibeon to Gezer.
So, let's recap. We've got a palace, a dynasty in the making, and two very different but very decisive military victories. These were the building blocks. Now, let's look at the long-term impact of all these moves and a legacy they created for David's kingdom. The ultimate outcome here wasn't just about winning battles. It was about building a reputation. David's fame spread everywhere. He became known as this divinely favored, unbeatable king. And that reputation, that fear, that became its own kind of shield, providing a deep, lasting security for his whole kingdom. And all of this leaves us with a final question to think about. When you look at David's whole story, his reliance on allies, his focus on the future, and especially how he kept stopping to ask for guidance before he acted, it poses this timeless question about leadership. Is the mark of a truly great leader someone who has all the answers themselves? Or is it someone who has the wisdom to know where and when to ask for